I just find our history so mad. We've got the 1700s where they're painting ceilings like this. It's my daughter, I'm just going to shut the door a bit. And we've got all this painting going on. Yes, and Martin Leakey, in a video I remember watching of his, where he's explaining that they mapped out the nervous system of a human in the 1700s. I don't think they could have quills and candles to do things like that. And the paintings, the precise paintings, the great big houses that house these paintings, because obviously the building goes over the top of these amazing paintings. But at the same time, we've got horses and carts. Or you might have that on your ceiling. That would be a bit of a shock, wouldn't it? Anyway, amazing ceilings and amazing buildings. Because these are just the ceilings of the amazing buildings that we had. Anyway, there's been another time. Oh yes, look at that. That was painted in, well, before 1770. Again, I just think it's really strange. We've got many places which are not inhabited anymore. And I just find it really sad. It must have been quite a hard life for some of these people who were on islands. But they were then told, either the mines dried up, or they were told that they couldn't be looked after anymore by boats and stuff like that, so they had to be evacuated when they'd spent thousands of years living there. It's really, really sad. But there we are at this time with all these amazing paintings, and then there's this time with Tartaria and like League of Gentlemen, and you know, Brighton Palace looks like a mosque, so Middle Eastern, Tartarian Queen or the royal family and so forth. And then we get to this sort of time where everybody's bedraggled, but they're still mining. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a couple of places now which are gone in Scotland. Some of it's explained on the video, so I hope you enjoy this visit to two islands that are uninhabited now. Oh, very quickly, I'm just going to stop the video on this before we get to that. Right, let's go back to here. Now they're saying here by the start of the 18th century, and then they're talking about it, but Martin Leakey said it was 17th century. He did a video about it showing maps, and they'd mapped it all out in the 1700s. So yeah, history can't be what it says. But anyway, now we're going to these islands. So what's your thoughts? I had this all ready for you and I uploaded it, and they decided that it had copyright on it, so I've had to do it a different way. And it's so annoying because it was really nice listening to a couple of these people. I don't know, the lady looks kind of Welsh, actually. I'd say she looks Welsh, but she's not, she's Scottish. But anyway, these are the islands. I just have to show you them rather than play the videos. And yeah, they are the what is it, north south, well, we'll just do it by their map, north south, the westerly islands. They're about 150 miles out from the UK, and these communities were here for, you know, 1,000 years ago. 600 people lived on this island. It's just a bit hard to imagine. I mean, what was it, overcrowding or something? But anyway, then it went down to about 60 people, and then suddenly they were told that they had to go, and they did. It looks like you know, like when you see one of those islands in wherever, and it's beautiful and hot, except this one isn't. A very rugged life, but I think people who are living on little islands that are quite cold, it is quite a rugged life. I don't see that this one was to do with mining more it was to do with people trying to live. I mean, we don't understand why people want to live in Greenland, but obviously the temperatures aren't quite what they say, so that's a load of rubbish. But you know, they wanted a lot of people. These people wanted that rural life. I mean, some of these places are over 1,000 years old. You know, I thought she looked quite sort of well. She was basically saying that her family is buried on this island and she'd like to go back. And he was saying he loved it there, that he's been back a couple of times. And he's just got this feeling that he doesn't want to leave it. He said it might be because it's old-fashioned, but he would rather stayed there on this island. He liked it. He didn't want to go to... Obviously, they put him in London. I don't know why London. When you've been out there, I suppose you wouldn't like London after being in such a rural place. But he was saying that he really enjoyed it and he didn't want to leave. It's hard to imagine stuck out in a little island 150 miles off of Scotland and you're living it rough. That's what he said though. He liked the nature's way. I suppose you didn't have to rely on anybody else. You had to live off the land, live off what you could eat, you know, the animals and all that. Yeah. Anyway, and another guy then went back, and when he saw it and the fact it was so dilapidated to what it was, it just made him cry. So these people still have very fond memories of living there. So it can't be all bad then, can it? But anyway, it's a bit of a shame that I couldn't play that, because they even sung, and like listening to them I was thinking, God, do they sound Jewish? Or, you know, their singing didn't sound like Scottish, it sounded very old-fashioned. But the whole thing's copyrighted, so I can't play it. I'm just adding this to my film. I saw it on the video, and then like I said, it was copyrighted, but I'm just adding this. I don't think we sing in our churches like this. What's your thoughts on how they sing? Anyway, just watch a couple of, well, it's about a minute of it, just to give you an idea. And see those round things between the houses? Those were their fridges. Once they had caught, salted, whatever it was, they put it in there, and then of course then they would obviously take it out during the year. Ooh, no big fridges then. Just stone circle things with grass on the tops. I don't know where the 600 was. There are houses there, and from that picture panning round, there's more houses that were there when they made this programme than there are now, and that just seems incredible. They must be destroying it slowly, and we won't notice them destroying it because there's a lot more buildings here, but not... I don't see where the other 5,550 went. But I've heard this before when they've said, oh, loads of people lived here. Oh, what was it? It was another one of the islands. And one I was showing you, a couple of weeks ago, and again it was the same thing, like, well, where did they go? Where did they put them all? Oh, I know, it was one of the other Scottish islands. It was the one with slate mining, and they said that hundreds of people lived on there, and the 60 that are houses that are on there kind of take the land. There isn't much more land for the houses to go on, so I'm not sure if they, I don't know, make up the figures. But I just find it incredible that so many places have been evacuated. It is an evacuation. Get out, obviously. Places in America, shops left, stuff in them. Nobody went to go back and get their stuff. But I'm sure that the history is a little bit different than what they're telling us, because they never, ever tell us the truth. And they never tell us the truth. And that's what we're left with. Anyway, we'll have to carry on this way. A bit disappointing because I'd already taped it and I've got to tape it again. But anyway, thanks very much for watching. We'll carry on to the next island.
Deserted island of Stroma, which in the old language of the Vikings means the island in the stream. Joining me is John Manson, who was one of the last to leave.
Can you see your house from here, John?
Yes, see the big clump of houses, and then there's two in the line lower. Ours is the furthest in one there.
Right. And how old were you when you left?
When we left?
Yeah.
About 18 years old.
You're about 18?
18, yes, we did that.
People lived on Stroma for thousands of years. It was a way of life that depended on navigating these dangerous waters, knowledge that became part of their folklore.
They were very knowledgeable of the waters. They had to be, you know, they couldn't live in this area without being very knowledgeable of the tide races. The main one is at the north end, at the Swilky Point.
The Swilky Point?
Swilky, it's called the Swilky.
Is it a particularly vicious one?
Yes, it is. It's a vicious one.
A place that John recalls being as busy as a railway station when he was a boy. Back then, 80 people lived here, but just over a century ago, there were 600 inhabitants. Now, Stroma is an island of ghosts. John's family was the last to leave.
So I've made it to the western side of Nevada. I pretty much drove all the way through. Really, my first stop is this semi-preserved ghost town here called Rhyolite.
It's going to sound like I'm moaning right now, but the way YouTube treats people who just are showing the truth, and a lot of it YouTube should catch themselves and take it away from us so we never saw it in the first place, but they promote it, and anybody that says anything against it they don't seem to like. But on that score, when people go into, you know, places that are empty, they belong to someone else, they're breaking and entering this place, and YouTube promotes all that and doesn't say a bad word against it, and millions of people watch it and they all make more money out of breaking and entering onto someone else's property. That's what I see. But this guy, I'm not saying he might not do that, but he spends a lot of time going around places like this, which are he also, I think it's through him I saw Bodhi. And he goes around places that are derelict and empty, but you can visit them. Anyway, let's watch his little bit of video. And the whole point about this one is, this is another place that's gone. I don't know, when you look at some of the buildings, they look more Mexican. I'm just not sure whether they're covering up the fact that this was a Mexican town and they destroyed it. Something like that. Or afterwards they've destroyed it. Because, you know, so many people are sort of evacuating like mad. What is going on? Like, maybe they just can't do it today because we've all got our mobile phones and things. I don't know what it is. It's crazy, but this is another mining place. And he actually, in the video, goes up to the mines. Another place that has closed down. Another one. We're just living in a place that's mined and empty. And we're funneled into the places they want us to be in. Something like that. Oh, please go and watch his channel and subscribe to him. Yeah, I like him. And there's a lot of it on his own.
An old, like, 1905 boom town, gold ore, I guess. At one time, this was a big town. They claimed something like 6,000 residents.
So there is Rhyolite, and guess what it was mined? Guess what they mined? Gold! They mined gold ore! Oh look, everybody's buying gold. This place went out of business when they were mining the gold. What's going on? Ridiculous, isn't it?
The boom years were between 1905 and 1911. By 1920, this place was a literal ghost town. It was dead because I guess the mines dried up. But in its glory, it had 18 grocery stores, 50 saloons, 19 lodging houses, 6 barbers, 4 bakeries, 35 gaming tables, 8 doctors, and 3 railroads. Interestingly enough, during its heyday, the lack of local timber supplies led to concrete and adobe being used for most buildings, and even 3 buildings being built from empty glass bottles.
There really isn't many buildings left, but this one is. And to me, I'm sorry, that looks... There it is up there. This looks Mexican to me. See? I think it looks Mexican. And there is a few houses there made of bottles. You see how much they had to drink then, with all these bottles being used in the houses. I think he said that there's 3 of these houses like this. That doesn't look very safe, does it? But yeah, there's 3 houses there made of bottles.
I like to compare what things look like back in the day to now. So I have a lot of the old pictures, back from the early 1900s. I couldn't help but notice that this is pretty much the same exact spot where someone took photos from 1908. Really puts it into perspective. Over 100 years later, this is what it looks like.
He is reciting the history of this place, and as you can see from that picture, there are quite a few buildings there to this. How could you... Where has it all gone? Like you would never know that it had ever been there. But that is not 6,000 houses or 6,000 people. I don't know how many people it is, but it's not... that is not 6,000 houses. There must be more houses around, but not 6,000. But how does it get to that, where there's hardly anything left? Obliterated, except maybe for some of the concrete buildings. Let's go back to this one. These 2 are concrete. Maybe that one there is concrete, or that one, I don't know. There's that building. Right, let's go back here. This building here is that building there. But really, you'd never know that there was a town with 6,000 people, would you? Anyway, let's move on with the video.
So this is what is left of the Cook building. It was the tallest building in Rhyolite.
While having something to eat today, I put the television on and Zorro was on. And they're in Mexico and they had this flag up. And I'm just adding it because these are Mexican names. So, and I don't know what that is there. Maybe that's part of the... So, I think that that is Cuba That's Cuba underneath Florida. When we look at both the maps, I would say that Mexico had half of America almost. So I don't know what this thing about wanting to leave us when actually half of Mexico was running, or Spain, Mexico was running America. Anyway, that was my feeling about why maybe some of these places are, especially in Nevada, which will be over here, would have been in there, would have been a Mexican town, and that's why it was destroyed. The last bit of the video.